That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Like a bad case of the crabs, your favorite hosts of the Pride Rules MMA podcast are back. We are here on our new night. It is Takedown Tuesdays with your favorite hosts of the Pride Rules MMA podcast. Just a quick shout out to our sponsors, the ones who keep the lights on here. It is not Omar, as much as most people like to think that it is. Shout outs to 80K Fightwear, Black Hole Jiu-Jitsu, Madama Jiu-Jitsu, 2-Minute Warning Sports 360, and our fight family over there at Fightbook MMA. I am your host, the Reverend Tommy D, joined with me by the Latin sensation that is helping Pride Rules podcast go across the nation, El Profesor Omar Sangarima. What's up, Butter? Butter. There we go. What's up, brother?
Hey, I'm smooth like butter, and I taste just like candy. So dance with me. But throwback for all you children. If she's not old enough to know that line, bro, she's too young for you. But I'm doing well, man. I'm excited. Potentially we've been discussing this move to Tuesdays. I have a lot more energy on a Tuesday. Sounds like you do as well. So I'm pretty stoked, man. And we got a big show. I'm excited to sink my teeth into what we're going to talk about.
Yes. The move to Tuesdays is definitely good because Mondays suck for all of us. And I love doing this show on a Monday night because, we're usually on before these other podcasts come out, you know what I mean, before the other podcasts drop. Most of them are recorded on Monday nights. As you all know, we go live on Monday nights. So Tuesday's a good, a good buffer, I think. But so, buddy, let's jump into our first topic tonight. As you all know from the show open, we are going to be talking about Conor and Khabib. This is the Conor and Khabib edition of the show. We will be talking about this throughout the rest of the show. But right now, I want to give a huge congratulations to one of our sponsors, the owner and proprietor of Black Hole BJJ, Mike Wacker, winning his first MMA bout with Dan Mergliotta as the referee, which is pretty goddamn awesome. And he won by first round armbar. Omar, congratulations to you and your team. How are you feeling, buddy?
Thank you. I'm excited and relieved, man. It's one of those things where when you get a teammate and even more so than a teammate, like a coach that goes out there and is going to put it on the line, you almost get more nervous than you do if it was yourself. I mean, hey, if I went into MMA cage, I'd probably be shitting my pants. But I was quite nervous for Mike to get out there. And, I knew all the, I saw the behind-the-scenes stuff with his fight prep, his weight. We had somebody in the camp that was like a nutritionist. She's a legit nutritionist. So
he was looking New Jack City. He was ripped.
Oh my God, and let me tell you, like, it was not surprising because like I've seen him, train for like jiu-jitsu competitions, and like last year apparently I was reminded by Time Hop that last year was the grappling match with Diego. So, I've seen when he gets really, focused and determined and whatnot. But what I was really excited about was that this camp had, none of the wild, crazy injuries. None of the, he had a couple of bumps and bruises. It's a fight camp. Things are going to happen. But he looked and felt really, really healthy. He was dropping down to like, I think 145, in my opinion, is his best weight. He's not, he could easily fight at like, 155 and he wouldn't be fat or whatnot. But I think like that extra 10 makes him a bigger person in the division. And dude, he put it all out there. And, I texted him after. I was like, bro, like you were double parked. What's this 41 seconds of the first round, like armbar business? And, he went in there and this was what was crazy to hear him talk about it because, he's my friend and we're relatively the same age, but he's my jiu-jitsu coach. So I kind of, I have a bit of a pedestal for him. I'm not going to lie about that. But like he was telling me like, yo, it is bucket list shit. I wanted to get in there even, if it was an amateur bout, I still wanted to know what it was like to go through a fight camp and get out there and fight. And he did it. I saw him work on his striking, work on his wrestling, work on his jiu-jitsu. There's a picture out there that I think we're gonna put to the Instagram in the next couple of days. I'm almost positive that he popped Homeboy's ankle first. Like he dropped down and the angle on this photo, I gotta get it out there probably tomorrow. But like the ankle just looks completely like jacked. And then he used that to come up.
That's what you get when you come in overweight.
Oh my God! It pissed Mike off. It pissed Mike off so much. And I know there was a little bit of a dust up, I think, at the end where Dan had to be like, "Yo, calm down, bro." and I asked him. I got the behind the scenes, and I texted him. I'm like, "What was that about, brother?" And he's just like, "Listen, I'm sorry." I think he's gonna reach out and apologize. Like that's not him at all, but he was pissed that he had to cut those extra 5 pounds. Mike would have loved to come in at 150, right? Like, wouldn't we all? You've wrestled, I've wrestled. Like, wouldn't we all wanted to do, come in with that 5 pound buffer? But, he apologized, and it was just such an emotional guy. And one thing that really got me after was there was this young girl, her name was Zoe, and she walked out with Mike, and I noticed like the obvious sign. I was like, okay, like she had no hair, and she was a young girl, and she looked really, really small and thin. And I asked her, and he's like, oh yeah, she's fighting cancer, brother. I'm like, oh shit. So she came out with him. Was in the crowd, and they took pictures after, and it was. We passed the hat around at the gym for that, and I was like, oh. So it was, all in all, it was a good night. We had another gentleman that ran out there. I'm going to jump on real quick just to kind of finish out the segment. My man Justin Delgado did one of his bucket list things. He's a strong purple belt out of Black Hole, and he went out there and he fought his absolute bollocks off. He lost a split decision, but let me tell you, it was one of those, like, I just stand back in awe of these two folks because, they're like our age. I think Justin might have a couple of years on me, and I'll bust his balls about that forever. But, making their MMA debuts, putting it on the line, making that walk, have nothing but respect for Justin, nothing but respect for Mike. And losing a split decision is nothing to shake your hat at. And it was if they had been given fight of the night bonuses, for Amis, Justin and his opponent Rob would have definitely picked him up. But all in all, it was a pretty good night, and just relief, Tommy, like just relief, because the weight cut was tough, the fight camp was tough. Like just it's good to hopefully get a little bit back to normal there. But yeah, it was a great night.
Now, is this something that he's going to continue to do?
I don't know, dude. Like I'm gonna be completely honest.
You don't come out in 40-something seconds, rip an armbar, and then just never return again. I mean that's and I can say this because I kind of sort of did it, but that's like getting your blue belt and retiring from gi.
I mean, I'm with you too. I hate gi, but I'm not gonna lie. Like I was nervous as all get out when he goes, Omar, I'm going to do this MMA fight. I'm like, Mike, why? Like, why? You have 4 gyms. Like, you have 4 gyms. You're doing good. Like, you just got a house. Like, focus on, growing the gyms and having kids and doing that thing and, filling the house and filling the gyms. Like, but, he said, dude, it's something I've always wanted to do. And what really impressed me was he was going, I feel like kind of a fraud. If I'm training folks for MMA, which they're fighters that are coming out of the gym, and I haven't been out there at least once, like, what the fuck am I doing, And it's not that he hasn't had success with the fighters regardless. Like, Mike knows the fight game, period. He's a jiu-jitsu wizard, but he knows the fight game. So, it's not as though he was missing something in terms of, his abilities to prepare fighters and whatnot at the camp, but it's just something he wanted to do. I haven't asked him. Because I'm afraid to for the same reason, Tommy. Like 41 seconds, it's almost like it almost didn't happen. Like it almost wasn't like a fucking like actual fight. So, I could see where he was like, hey, man, I prepared this way, and I'm in great shape, and if I just carry this shape through, like, the cut won't suck as much, and blah, blah, blah. I could see him do that, but I'll, you know, I do know he's got a bit of a, I don't know what was up. I don't want to throw the weirdo, problematic weirdo light on Mr. Andre Miller, but there is he's got something on his eye. I think it's a bit of a case of impetigo, so I don't know how the hell that happened. You know, I know the mats are clean. I know the aggressive combat, runs a tight, clean ship. I don't know. Maybe Andre Miller didn't shower as well as didn't cut weight. I don't want to. But so he's got that thing in his eye, Mike, right now. So hopefully, I'll give him some time to kind of rest up, heal up, be able to sleep right, because that thing's fucking up. If he can't. He says it feels like somebody's putting out a fucking cigarette on his eye at all times. So I'll wait till that heals before I kind of put the test balloon out there and go, is this something we're going to keep doing? Because you know what? Now that there's a pro scene out in New York, the AMI scene is heating up too. So, it's not as though he's going to have a lack of events to kind of scratch that itch if he wants to go, So we'll see. I honestly do not know, Mike.
I think Mike should kind of jump on that MMA Pro League train and see if maybe he can get a team in that league.
I think you're a fucking genius, bro. I think that's a great idea because it's for like the up and comers. You know what I mean? And let me tell you, like, Mike's Mike is Mike, but like we also have some absolute young killers that. These kids are just insane. Like the kids that, like, first set of children that I've actually trained with that trained MMA. You know the difference? Like they trained it all.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what the fuck? Like these kids are so much better than I am. Like, and I call them kids and they're like 20, but like, these guys, these young men have been training it all from the jump. And it's just like, wow. I was learning sentences and phrases, and these guys are just learning fucking poetry from the get-go. It's not even fair. So, there's definitely enough guys in that camp for a team. With 4 gyms.
I mean, if he's thinking about it, I could drop a line.
Once his eye gets to look like a human eye again, I'll ask him. I promise, Tommy. I'm not just blowing smoke. But let me tell you, he sent me a photo today, and I'm glad that it wasn't at lunchtime or dinner time. That's all I'm gonna say. It's bad.
Ugh.
Impetigo is no fucking joke. It's what drove Michael Jackson crazy. That and chemical castration. But I don't know. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are you saying Mike is going to bleach his skin to be whiter than he already is?
I don't know if he can get whiter than he is. I mean, you guys are white brothers in Christ.
Well, he's darker than you, so he can be.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're right, dude. I think it's like the angry Italian in him, and both of you, Fox, both of you Raider-loving sons of bitches, that makes you darker than this brown kid over here. I don't understand it, dude. It's weird, man. My mom was an odd character on the island of Puerto Rico, a shockingly white blonde woman in Puerto Rico. Like, no wonder she got on a boat and came up here. She's like, oh, Jesus. But
was it a boat?
It was not a door. She's not Cuban, so you calm yourself down, sir. It was definitely.
All right,
I know.
It was a blow-up raft.
It was a plane, sir. All right, and it wasn't piloted by the autopilot from Airplane. All right, so shut your mouth.
Was it a cargo plane carrying chickens? Is that what it was?
No, and she wasn't in the landing gear, all right? She's not from Tijuana. She's definitely from a nice place in Puerto Rico. I mean, maybe not so nice now, My heart's out to those poor bastards on the island. But, yeah, she came in a plane, legitimately. Thank you.
Well, hey, look, another.
My dad, I don't know. I'm not going to lie
you about my dad. Let's not get into that.
Yeah.
Let's not get into that. But yeah, big, huge congratulations to Mike and everybody over there at Black Hole Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I know it's a big win when, somebody from your team goes out there and wins in their debut. But it's another thing when it's your proprietor, when it's the owner that's going out there, and because
soul of the team, man. Yeah,
George Sullivan hasn't won a fight since he opened his school, but I mean that's
well, if you want to call it a school, I mean, it's more of a club, but
I've heard some rumblings that some of the students that left Madama want to come back.
Well, yeah, good luck with that. We both know how the fuck that turns out. I don't know how Josh is, but I do know how we would be. So maybe Josh is nicer. Maybe Josh is nicer than we are, but I think we both know where that's going to end up. They're going to end up with a whole lot of not training jiu-jitsu if they try that mess. Oh, can we come back? Sure. Fucking close the doors, shutter the window.
Yeah, your first day back. All right, I'm just going to need you to roll with chamois for a little bit.
Yeah, we're just going to put these small gloves on, but it's only to practice grips. I swear, it's just to practice armbar grips with MMA gloves on. All right, guys. Yeah, that ends well. Trust me. That ends well.
Oh, man. All right, well, let's get on to the topic of the evening. We are 1 week away. It's a very strange feeling, isn't it, Omar? Like, it almost doesn't feel like it's a week away because it's not as in your face as the Mayweather thing was. Do you think the UFC is doing that? God forbid somebody pulls out.
I will only believe that it's happening when the cage door shuts on both of them. Because I can't even say that after they weigh in, because we've had that fracas with Tony.
We sure have.
Right, the last time, and Ali Quinta had to, stop being Realtor of the Year and owner of the best Twitter account. I don't care what you say. That's definitely him. Shut up, Tommy. Best Twitter account on Twitter.
It's really not.
I know it's not. I just love it. Whoever it is doing a great job. That's all I gotta say. But it's always down to the wire, man. I'm telling you, like, Khabib, he must have struck some sort of deal with like a Cossack demon, because like as gifted as he is, he's always like snake bitten and cursed when it comes to actually putting on big fights. So I just hope, and you know what? I hope Dana White's got somebody in a cellar training too. All right, like Mr. T style, just doing sit-ups up to the rafters, and getting into good weight shape, because you have to get insurance for this type of fight. You have to, bro. Both of them too, because I could see Conor. God forbid, like Conor had to do a epic weight turnaround, right? You heard about that. He was definitely kind of in fat boy shape for being away from the fight game for so long. So does he go too hard and maybe he gets injured? I don't know. Does a weight cut destroy him? I don't know. But Khabib's always has his issues, dude.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that you could say about Conor is the guy's, you could say he's in fat boy shape, but the guy's never out of shape. He had to have been training throughout the time that he's been off, at least somewhat. You know what I mean? I don't think he goes in there on wrestling night. I'm sure he's probably got his own little private sessions that he goes to. You're not going to tell me that this fight was just set, just a couple months ago. They might have just signed it a couple months ago, but this has been set for a while now. I guarantee you this was set after the Al Iaquinta fight and Conor started training for it. You don't just train for a fight like this in 3 months, just like you don't train for a boxing match against arguably the best boxer ever in just a couple months either. If you're believing that, then you really are gullible sons of bitches. There is a lot more that goes on behind the fight scene that we really know about, but it's pretty obvious that this unicorn of a fight that most of us didn't think was going to happen. Some of us still don't think it's going to happen. You don't just train in a couple months for that. This is the fight that you train for a while. And in the middle of all this, year.
Like there's like a good easy 6 month skills camp and then conditioning camp and then the fight. You're right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And what sparked it all off is now Conor has inked an 8-fight deal with the UFC. Now, how old is he? Is he 30?
I believe so. He's got. If he's not 30, he's like 29 3/4. I'll look it up right now, but I almost guarantee you that he's got to be Conor McGregor age.
Well, I mean, he can't do the every 2-year fight thing with an 8-fight deal, or else he's going to be Anderson Silva.
He's 30. You're spot on. July 14th is old boy's birthday.
I don't see him fighting till he's 38 years old. I don't see him fighting the full 8 fights in his contract.
He's not going to. They signed him to an 8-fight deal so that whatever fights he does want to do in the UFC, he does them. But then that's going to be a permanently frozen contract where he might retire, but they'll keep pushing out the dates on that contract just in case he ever gets the wild itch in his pants to come back or to do some marketing stunt, which you never know. This whiskey might set him up for life, or his spending habits might keep him fighting the same way they seem to be doing to Mayweather. That's another story that we could get into later. But I think it's to make sure that he doesn't go elsewhere, Tommy, as much as anything else. And I do not believe he's going to fight out the 8 fight. There's not going to happen unless he gets into some Ryzen type business and they fight 3 fights in a night, and he does that twice a year, and then, caps it off with a couple of one-offs every year. Then he's still 35, 36. Nah, he's not going to do that shit, Tom. 8 fights, go fuck at it.
Unless
financial terms,
him and Dana, unless there's some verbiage in that contract saying that he needs to fight, but he's probably going to have the same kind of deal that Nate has, where if they don't have him a fight in a year, he still gets paid.
But I could see that where they got something. They got something there, but Tommy, they can't compel this man to do what he doesn't want to do. The only thing that can get McGregor to do anything that McGregor doesn't want to do is money. I really do feel like there was rumblings. You heard them the same as I did, that homeboys burned through that $100 million or burned through a big portion of it. And there was enough to the rumors, and it's feasible enough in his circumstances where I don't think that's an outlandish situation. I think it would be nuts for you or I to blow through $100 million, at least at our present ages. Back in our 20s, we could go through that, I think, in about 6 months. But
I can still go through that now, trust me.
I would try as your legal counsel to advise you otherwise. However, good Fear and Loathing reference if kids didn't pick up on that one either. But I think he might be a little lighter in the wallet than he might have liked or grown accustomed to, because he did wild out for a while there. There was 3 or 4 months after Mayweather fight where I seem to recall him basically stepping out on D. Devlin with Rita Ora for a little while. There's some weird jet setting type.
Who is that chick anyway?
She's, I think, and I used to work with a couple of Albanians, and if anybody has in their illustrious lives, Albanians will tell you at any time who is Albanian, immediately. So I learned Rita Ora was actually Albanian. She's not dead, God forbid. And I think she's a pop star or some shit out there. So, yeah. She's an Albanian pop star that has a giant set of fake jugs and an Instagram account that probably pays for most of her bills at this point, because other than that, I don't see her really doing too much. But yeah, she sings some songs.
So she's Kim Kardashian, who can probably sing. Sweet.
From Albania too.
Okay.
And she's got the added toughness of being from war-torn Kosovo. So yeah, which is not to be underestimated. They're tough people. I say that with the utmost respect. I really do. Fucking crazy. So. He couldn't need the money. But again, back to the point, Dana could plead with him to finish out there's nothing Dana White would like more than to see all 8 fights completed, don't you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why I signed Anderson Silva to that monstrous friggin' contract that he signed, I guess, because Dana White thought that he was going to be champion forever.
Yeah. Yeah, and so did Anderson, which is why he went the pharmaceutical route. I mean, dude, the time is undefeated. It's gonna get you. He is 30, but call me crazy. The man's coming out with a whiskey brand. I mean, do you think he's outside of camp? He's living the best life. You get me? Like a fighter's life, or is he living a different type of life?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Is he out getting whiskey wasted every night?
Proper wasted.
Who the hell knows?
Because it's proper 12.
Who the hell knows? 12. You know what I mean? He does seem
got
like
a second kid on the way. That might make him more responsible, right? Wouldn't you think?
Yeah,
maybe.
He does seem like somebody who lives a semi-clean life. You can't say somebody drinks occasionally or whatever isn't living a clean life.
Oh no, that's what I mean.
Like,
I didn't say that even in the least. I'm just talking about, like, is he going to get sucked in by that fame monster again? If he beats Khabib, it's a rocket ship again.
That's the thing. That's the big if. I want to see him lose just to see what Dana's face looks like with this fight, considering that he looked depressed with Tyron Woodley winning.
He looked despondent, dude. I wanted I actually tweeted at him the suicide prevention hotline. I was like, hey guys, there's somebody here to listen to you. He looked, and you know what? The internet's undefeated. I love the fact that somebody caught that moment, because it really does. There's no way you can tell me that that's not what he really feels about Tyron Woodley at any one time, which only makes the tweets that he sends out or his marketing team sends out. I don't think he's, sometimes I think he's probably Donald Trumping it up, where he's actually tweeting. A powerful man's actually being that wild on Twitter. But I think some of them are just auto sends or whatnot, where he goes, oh, hey, look, Tyron Woodley's got this new single out with blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm positive. Like, after seeing your face when he won, bro, you want a piano to fall on Tyron Woodley's head, for fuck's sake. I swear to God. You want him to run headfirst into, like, some fake tunnel that you put up Wile E. Coyote style. You want him to die. Like, you hate that dude. You hate the fact that he's the head of your 170 division.
Yeah, and Tyron has come out and the Conor McGregor fight makes sense. It makes sense if Conor loses. Or I guess it does make sense if Conor wins too. But
then it's a champ potential. Yeah. Again.
Yeah, it's that, but then that kind of fucks up the welterweight division. Like that's what I mean. Like these monster super fights are cool, but they're also stuffing up divisions. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like the guy, but
shit. Come on.
It's not Conor. It's not him. It's Woodley wanting the payday, which I get, but
yeah, dude.
I don't like the guy. But Colby Covington really is the next guy in line for that belt. You know what I mean?
And he's a much more intriguing matchup than Conor is against a guy like Woodley. I'll say it. Like, you take Khabib's matchup with Conor, and you take away, like, you take some, like, if you're doing a creative fighter, right? You take some points away from the grappling, and you put them into a piston of a right hand, and you have Tyron Woodley. So I
think Conor's speed. I think Conor's faster than Tyron, but
absolutely.
I think Tyron's a lot stronger, so he might be able to beast through at least one of those left hands enough to put Conor on his back. You know what I mean?
If he did not show fear against Darren fucking Till, and I'm not saying that Darren's a tremendous striker, but where I'm going more towards is the fact that Darren's just a giant man for 170. And Tyron didn't look nervous or scared or, like he wasn't ready to beast through whatever the gorilla had for him. So, yeah, I think he would absolutely be able to, unless, Conor. I'll always be a believer in Conor's accuracy after what the fuck happened with Eddie Alvarez and what happened with Dustin Poirier. Right? Like, good God, some of these shots looked like they didn't really do much, and then they killed people. You know, mitigating circumstances aside, Tommy, and I know it's a sore spot because I'm talking about Eddie, but holy shit, man. You know, like, as much as we want to clown him or whatnot, if he has that accuracy that's just weird. You know, it's weird.
It's you know, and I always go back to this because when you're sitting there talking to a legend like Jeremy Horn, who was the greatest fighter to never win a championship in any of the organizations that he was in,
100%.
When he said to me that that Conor is the best at doing the basics, and that's just what it is. He doesn't do anything crazy. No. Like you see him do the spinning heel kicks, you know, when he's being announced or when he's on television, but he doesn't waste his energy on that during the fight. You don't see him do that.
Nope. You don't even see like spinning back fists from him, which are a lot more conservative even than spinning heel kicks, right? Like he doesn't do spinning shit
Dude,
at all.
I'm gonna have to post this. Roberto just sent me a picture of a skeleton in a reclining chair that says "Me waiting for Conor's 8th fight."
Yeah, no, Roberto's spot on with the fucking meme. He's like, there we go. He just sent it to me too. Oh, this is hilarious. It's the truth though. And that skeleton looks really like, it looks disturbed a little bit. It's got the one leg up is making me a little nervous. You get me?
It looks like Nate Diaz waiting for that 3rd fight. That's what it looks like.
Dude, oh my God. Jesus Christ. No, it looks like Conor getting a 145 right now is what it looks like. You know? It's just nuts.
But yeah, so what Jeremy was saying was right. And if you got a guy who could do the basics perfect, it's going to be a great fighter. It's like that line that Bruce Lee said, you know, I don't fear the man who practices 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who practices one kick 10,000 times. And that's like what Conor is with his boxing.
It's spot on.
His MMA stand-up. Let's not talk about his boxing.
Well,
the 8 million jabs.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, he 8 million jabs and he got paid $100 million. So what the fuck are you gonna do, bro? Right? You can't.
Yeah, I guess I'd get fucking my head pinged around for $100 million too.
Buy some pillow.
There's not much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Stop
There's
it.
not much that I wouldn't do for a crazy sum of money.
That's interesting. That's a great open-ended.
I mean, look at it this way.
Ominous.
I'm willing to take a punch to the face from a heavyweight fighter for free.
Yeah, just for ha-has,
video.
Right. Yeah, just for the gram. I'm glad.
Yeah.
That's you bring that up.
Oh, dude, if he tells me he wants to do it, I'm still down to do it.
I know. I'm only laughing because I know you're not bullshitting me even a little bit right now. That's just silly, bad. Christ. But yeah, no,
Nope.
8 fights are I think Dana doesn't want to see him go anywhere. So he's going to throw some, and if by some weird miracle we get down to like it's 6 fights in the can and there's 2 left, you know what's going to be announced on fight number 7? The opponent as well as a new 10-fight deal, some whatever it is, and potentially he might want to lock them into some sort of like monetary range right now. No, although I do see,
Well, what I'm thinking is they're locking him into this 8-fight deal. This 165-pound division is really starting to be talked about more. Maybe this 8-fight deal could be stemming on maybe they're actually going to do the 165-pound division.
I'd love that. I'd love
whether
it.
Conor wins or loses.
I'd love it. I'm telling you, more divisions the better. Less weight cuts. We're going to see less injuries. Less weight cuts, or less, ridiculous weight cuts. People bouncing back more from injuries, even when they get them. Less injuries occurring, period. More exciting fight. Dude, yeah. Come on. Every 10 pounds,
at 165, I think we'd see this fight again.
1,000%. We'd see that fight again. We could see GSP coming out and doing something at 165. I don't see we'd see Darren Till, but Kevin Lee, I think, could be a really good proponent. He's the one who's been making rumblings a lot with him and GSP. There's a ton of folks that I'd love to see at 165. Honest to God, Cerrone, I would like to see him somewhere in between. I think the 155 weight cut is too crazy. I think 170, the guys are too fucking big for him. 5 pounds might make a difference. Who knows? There's a bunch of folks.
Well, you see, now we sit there and say 5 pounds. We know that when they enter the octagon, they are not 155 pounds. They're not 175 pounds. You know they're more than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Darren Till was easily 9,000 pounds when he fought Cerrone. Darren Till was 200 pounds if he was an ounce, and Cerrone might have been in the 180 range, maybe, and that's even assuming that he cuts at all. I don't think he does cut much for 170, which is why I think he keeps campaigning at that weight, because as he gets older, I think it's just like, well, fuck it, I'm going to get a payday, and it's going to take a lot less out of me to just show up, whether that's prudent or not, who the fuck knows. But, Till, you're right. Everybody's not. And they're going to add weight classes. I don't think they're going to go the full, 1FC route with the hydration test. That would be, for lack of a better term, the hydration test would be a wet dream. But they're not going to go that route. So, but at least get them somewhat closer to their natural weights, man, please. And then put more gold out there. You're going to have to fill slots on ESPN Plus anyway, dude. Get that division in there. For sure.
Yeah, so it's a lot to think about with this, this 8-fight deal. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot to think about. There's a lot going on with it. It would be pretty cool if they did do this 165-pound division. I think it's needed. And like I said, we could see this fight again. There's a lot of fights that we'd be able to see.
Khabib would love a 165 division. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he?
He wants to cut much.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like he wouldn't have to cut much. I think we'd even see a wilder gas tank with Homeboy, which is crazy because he has a pretty decent gas tank when it comes to ridiculousness mayhem now, but I think we could, definitely see even more so. So it'd be cool. It'd be cool to see what he has to offer, man. We could name 10 names, I think, right off the top that would love a 165 division. No?
Yeah. James Vick would probably be good at 165.
Gleason Tebow, if he was fighting. Jesus.
Yeah.
He needs one. He needs a 165-pound division. My man is way too big.
Anthony Pettis, maybe.
Pettis would love it.
He's a big 155er.
Yeah, he is. And the going to 145 is I don't like it. I'm glad that he got that shit right the fuck out of his head at this point. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, it's hard to, say the true 155ers. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It is. It's hard because you got to look at some of these guys that, well, all right, I guess he could be 155 pounds. Like Frankie Edgar was a true 155 pounder because the guy weighs 154 pounds.
Yeah, and I think we saw when he finally decided, hey, I'm gonna do the weight cutting thing that all these Wildcats are doing. Then we started seeing some crazy stuff, and he dropped down a lot more.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I talked to him about that, he had said to me, he's like, it makes sense. He goes, I walk around at 154, 155 pounds. He's like, so 10 pounds isn't really that big of a deal. I think that 135 cut would probably be death.
I think it would be tough, but I don't know. Would you want to see him do it? I don't know if I would. Yeah.
At this point, no. Make your last run trying to get that belt before they start doing I don't want to say super fights, but the bigger fights for him to ride out whatever's left of his contract. 'Cause I think once he's done in the UFC, I don't think you'll see him go anywhere else to fight. I think he'll just be done, and then that's it. But let's get back on track here. We are talking about Khabib and Conor, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Khabib and Conor edition. So after the contract talks, we then had the press conference, which, of course, Conor showed up late, which he always does, and everybody's just going nuts over the press conference. Oh, Conor just destroyed Khabib. Have we really known Khabib to be a talker, Omar? Really?
No. He's always been more of a let me do my talking in the cage sort of guy. So I think it would have been better if there was something else like causing some drama. I think that Khabib needs to have, I don't know, like a Paul Heyman character. I don't know how else to say it. Like there needs.
Well, you mentioned that, and most of the focus was manager Ali. What happened there?
In terms of, there's some like background type in terms of there's ties in the background to some shady nefariousness, and Conor made a masterstroke, I think, in the trash talk, bringing it up, where it's like, we're talking like fucking killing fields, war crimes type nastiness, right? And
yet Conor is like business partners with guys from Italy who were pedophiles.
Yeah, so, let he who is without sin cast the first stone, I guess. And I can chalk that one up to my Catholic education. But so you have weirdness on both sides. Like, Frank Mir can get roped in painted with the same brush. Anybody who's done the ACMAT, right? Anybody who's set foot on Chechen soil as a esteemed guest of the president of that country. Anybody who's gone to Georgia, the country, not the state, like there's a lot of war-torn places that are run by people that need to be in power to run war-torn places. Let me just say that. I don't want to, get shot or fucking, open up my closet and the doorknob, kills me. So leaving it at that, Conor made some allusion to things that had kind of been rumbling in the background, and he just put it out there on Front Street. And I think it was a function more of the fact, like you said, they haven't been hyping this fight nearly, it's not the whirlwind press tour. I think Conor made that a priority with when he said I was going to come back. He didn't want to do a Jose Aldo type ridiculousness. That's always been a point of contention for him, period. He's already been, locking horns with the UFC brass over that. But that's not to say that he didn't have this one cannon blast in the chamber, and he let it go. Do I think it's gonna my point with what you said where, he killed him? You're right. Khabib's not much of a talker, number one. Number two, if there's ever a region of the world where I think mental warfare is not gonna affect somebody, it's a wild man from Dagestan. They've dealt with real problems in their lives, and they've had upbringings where. So I don't think that there's a way. I just don't think there's a way to get into Khabib's head. Period. Only thing I could potentially see is like if you take his children or some shit. In that case, it's kidnapping, or it's just then it's a bad look. But other than that, bro, I really do not think they're movie villains for a reason, Chief. Some of the legend is true. They're cold, hard people. I mean that respectfully.
It's like, to me, it's like, okay, so Conor had a great press conference. Okay. If if you win the fight based on the press conference, all right, fine. But you don't. So everybody getting all up in arms over it. Like, it's almost like, are you trying to give him like the participation trophy early just in case, he gets taken down 22 times instead of the, record holding Khabib 21 times back from 2013? What do you think?
Dude, I don't know. It's this fight is such a big deal, but I feel like it's been marketed in such an odd way still to this day that I don't know what the hell really is going on. So it's not
the name recognition enough sells the fight.
Of course, and they're doing some good things stacking the undercard. Like that Ferguson Pettis fight is very intriguing to me. I'm looking forward to that. Waterson and Herrig, it looks to be a decent dust up. Formiga and Little Pettis is not a bad show. Fucking Gray Maynard still doing the damn thing. All right. But there's some people that I want to see on this fight. Lewis and Volkov, fucking anytime Derek Lewis wants to fight, I want to see it happen. But dude, like, they're banking off of name recognition, which, okay, that's great, but it's been marketed in an odd way. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's not the same type of wild show that we're used to. And not for nothing, but like, is name recognition going to be enough to do the type of numbers that are Conor numbers? And that's really what gives Conor the leverage that he's had over his life with the UFC. Who knows, man? I might be talking out of my ass, but I just think that there could have been more done. And I don't think the press conference blew anybody's hair back. I really don't.
No, it really didn't. Like, it was almost like, okay, here's the press conference. I mean, I'm not somebody who gets excited over press conferences. The Mayweather one was interesting just to see how it was going to be. Because you have two guys who trash talk. Mayweather's really not the best at it, but you have two guys that talk a lot of trash. And this one, you have Khabib, he's quiet. He is your prototypical Russian. He's quiet. He does his talking in the cage. Did you hear Fedor talk? No. But for 10 years, was he arguably the best heavyweight walking the planet? Yes.
1,000%, yes. Without a shadow of a doubt.
And this goes back to that stuff that I say, it's like pro wrestling. It's like, who cares? This is a fight where these two could never say two words at a press conference, yet it's still going to do a shit ton of pay-per-view buys.
I hope so. Just for the sake of the sport. We're at the point where we need big, wild blockbusters. We need this one to be big. We're also gonna need John Jones to do some numbers. Brock Lesnar's gonna have to get in there and move the needle. We're gonna need some stuff here. Absolutely are.
And not to toot our own horn, but we called that entire John Jones thing last week, the day before it was announced.
Right? Didn't we? I'm telling you, I had my one good ear to the ground, and it came up with the right type of wagon rumblings. Because, right? Dude, like, we couldn't put our you hinted at the snitching too. You did. I don't know if you know this, but you definitely kept on saying, is there something else? Like, how the hell? The two of us, like, I was more inquisitive. I'm not going to take any credit for, like, calling the snitching thing. You, I think, did, though. And I don't think I picked up on it. But you kept on being like, well, there's got to be something else.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There had to be something else that was giving this sentence, like, you know what I mean? It just...
Yeah.
It's like a guy who gets busted with, like,
30 kilos of cocaine.
Yeah.
And then he comes out and he's like, oh, my lawyer's a beast. No, bro. You got to look at him and you're like, you're a rat fuck. There's no two ways about that.
He comes out on low ball bail. and is back at home watching
they
TV.
They try to put some bullshit bail amount so that, it doesn't arouse suspicion, but you're like, listen, you had enough keys to fucking start a valet stand, and you see daylight a week later. How many people did you flip? Did you hurt your neck flipping that often, sir? Because that's exactly what fucking happened. There's no two ways about it.
And not to keep on this, but it's funny how USADA's trying to, put out articles saying that John Jones isn't a snitch. Oh, I mean, he is.
Yeah.
Who he's snitching on, I don't know.
I think that's what it is. They don't want to alert whoever. I mean, they have coming down the pipeline with further, shit.
Well, if people are going to start getting investigated, and then they just suddenly get busted, we all know why.
Well, of course. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, all right, they probably Dana made him strike a deal like, John, we need you. We need
probably.
You.
And you know what sucks is I bet you the people that are fingered are like if you do some cold math, you're gonna see the calculus that resulted in who got sacrificed and who didn't. You see where I'm going with it? I bet you there's going to be 3 or 4, there's going to be a good amount of people, but they're going to be the sorts of folks that wouldn't have made the money. I would be super shocked if somebody legit gets caught up in this dragnet. And in fact, not as shocked, I guess, because John Jones seems just all sorts of sleazebag douche fuck at this point in his life. He really does. I'm glad to see him fighting again. I really am. But I could see, 3 or 4 mid card guys get blasted in order to see John Jones pull some numbers again. I could.
Yeah, so we have that coming up. You mentioned the Brock Lesnar thing. That I think they're targeting for 2019 because I think Cormier, he hurt his hand. I think that's what the deal is.
Yeah, I think there's something there with he was slapping bitches too hard or something. So. Yeah.
So, this kind of is going to, start that ball rolling with this fight. As long as it happens, it's a week away. Anything can happen in a week. Ask, Tony Ferguson.
Oh Christ! Stop it! Don't bring up his name to shit on him. All right, I won't have it. Stop it.
I could see Ferguson being the alternate for this. God forbid something happens.
Oh yeah, Pettis. Nobody gives a fuck about Pettis at this point. I'm sorry, but he's, if he does well, great. If he doesn't, I don't think anybody's giving a shit. Especially considering that he turn down fighting Khabib on short notice too. Wasn't that some of the wild
money.
Business? So yeah, exactly.
You're going to pay me more. I'm going to take the time to not fight for the championship that you once held, because you're not happy about what you're getting paid for it. It's a last minute thing, pal.
Yeah.
It's a last minute thing. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's your Rocky Balboa moment, and you falter.
Al Iaquinta's a legend forever because he stepped up. Let's be serious. So he had that opportunity and he took a shit. So we'll see.
Yeah, he would have cut his arm off for that. Really?
Yeah.
The same guy who's been, griping about his pay for the past few years didn't blink twice about taking that fight.
Dude, yeah. He didn't give a fuck. He's been out there fucking selling ranches and colonial homes for part of the fight camp time, man. I can't get over this. He's just out there doing the damn thing. He's like, yeah, I'll step in and be the anti-John Jones. Instead of shitting on a card and blowing it up, I'll save one. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is the fight the division needs, because this is the definitive answer. There is no more questions after this as to who is the best. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, dude. Without a shadow of a doubt. This is gonna. I'm excited. I'm legit excited, but my heart's been broken so many times. So
yeah,
I'm just But a lot could
It
happen.
almost feels like us talking about it is going to jinx it.
I don't even want to look at it. It's on one of my screens here. I don't want to look it in the eye. I have the UFC 229 like roster, and I don't want to look at any of the fight pictures in the eye because I feel like it's gonna cause them to break something. I'm cursed in some way. I think I just gave Derek Lewis back spasms. I looked at his fight picture in the eye. He's gonna tweet about him. Some Puerto Rican gave me the fucking brewery. But something crazy. But and
going back to the press conference, the one thing that you can say about Khabib, he just didn't look phased at all.
No, and that's what I was really trying to get at, dude. You're not going to phase these people. All right? These folks starved, died, and died again, waiting for the rest of their army to catch back up so that they could punch Germans in the mouth a few years later. Like, they're never going to, they're just built of a different thing, man, and if it seems like I'm fanboying out on that entire race of people, I am, all right? There's some scary-ass motherfuckers. So I don't know. You're not going to win a mind game battle with somebody that, because it's, Dagestanis are looked at, Russians are hard as fuck. And Russians look at Dagestanis as wild mountain people. So that just put that in perspective for you. You know what I mean? It's like another degree of, wild white dude. It's just a different breed, dude. So I don't think you're going to you're not going to play mind games with this guy. I don't think he cares. I think the biggest battle that he's having, if he's having any battle at all to prepare for this, is the scale. And I hope he seems to have figured it out. I hope that continues. And as long as that's squared away, we're going to have one hell of a fucking fight. I don't think any of this mind game business. I know, there's been a couple of our compatriots in the podcast world that have said, "Oh yeah, he's definitely." I don't buy it. I just don't. I'm as much of a fan of McGregor as anybody else. Maybe not as much of a fan as some people. But I just think let's stop grasping at straws. I don't think Khabib gave a fuck whatever Conor had to say. You could expose the fact that he was in bed with somebody who was selling nuclear secrets. I don't think Khabib cares. I just don't think he cares. I really don't. Is it Ramadan? No, then he's in full strength. You're not gonna get in his head. You're not gonna It's just We're looking for meaning where there is none.
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything that you said there, and it's the absolute truth. The guy just doesn't care. He doesn't care what anybody has to say. He just wants to go in there, and and I alluded to this before. Back in 2013 in that fight, he did score 21 takedowns. That's got to tell you about this guy's gas tank, that he could take you down 21 times, and that was just in a 3-round fight.
I haven't completed 21 takedowns in 2 hours of grappling class since maybe I was 19 years old. I'm 33. Okay.
Right.
And this dude did it inside of 15 motherfucking minutes. That's all that got to tell you. All right, just physically completing 21 takedowns. All right, it gets old, man. It does. It gets tiresome. Maybe you can cheat a couple of them being little trippy bullshits. Okay, but that's not primarily how this guy he double legs you to death, puts his head in your chest and drives through you. So that within 15 minutes, dude. That's scary. That's the type of top pressure that, as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, you're just like, fuck. I got 6 minutes against this guy.
It's physically depleting for the guy who's getting put down 21 times because you're trying to get back up. He's just chilling on top of you, punching you, smashing you. He's not exerting that much energy. The most energy he's exerting is with the takedowns, and he was doing it with ease. You know what I mean? So that's, everybody's sitting there talking about, Conor stand-up. Okay, well, if Khabib gets inside and is able to put him down, how much is he going to be able to keep getting back up and getting put back down again in 5 rounds? That's the question.
Didn't we see a blueprint of this with a semi-decent grappler? Not a semi-decent, a very decent grappler at 145, come off the couch and take him down a bunch of times. And it was only because, who was it? Was it Mendez?
Yeah, Mendez.
Yeah, it was Chad. And the only reason that beating stopped was because Chad ran out of gas because he was a super late replacement. So
yeah, he had like
I don't
2
know.
weeks to train for it.
Yeah, he came from the and
then
Conor's gonna be like, well, I let him get tired.
Well, you know, Conor hit him with that spinning, which, you know, I'm not a fighter, but pretty sure if you're not conditioned and you take a kick to the stomach, that's going to deplete whatever energy that you did have.
Oh yeah,
downhill.
his endurance bar went into critical levels at that point. I'll definitely give it to you, but he had a 50% one to start the fight with. It was one of those, like, you're in a fighting game and it catches you, you know, it tries to throw a curveball at you, and then the story mode says you got jumped by 6 guys, and now you got to fight a dude on low energy. Yeah, I'm a nerd, I get it. But the point is, Conor didn't, you know, Conor then came back and said, oh, I waited him out. You know, I was the plan all along. Nah, bro, all right? You capitalized. You didn't give up in the face of some pretty overwhelming ridiculousness. I'll give him that, and I'm not taking that away from him. But if Khabib's what he can be, which is a conditioned takedown machine like you're alluding to, is what you're setting me up to talk about, and I appreciate it, then I think we just see, you know, rinse and repeat. Everybody points to the Michael Johnson punch on Khabib as, you know, the litmus test. And yes, I don't like what I see at any point in time from Khabib's stand-up. I'm not a Khabib stan at all. So I can say this. Like, stand-up is straight dog shit. It is. But I don't think he needs any. He just needs to basically do like the Gracie defensive tactics, put up both of his forearms in front of his head, and just bum rush this dude. Get him down, hold one of his arms behind him, and punch him, and then start talking to him in the first round about how he must be champion and he needs this belt, and you'll never win. And then do, you know, 4 more rounds of that. It's not. I don't see many ways for Conor to win this fight. I just really don't.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's him catching him on the takedown, but that's not. It's kind of a tall order considering how fast Khabib is at going for takedowns. And I know that, you know, Artem has come out and said that Conor's grappling is better, which I don't, you know.
I wish I had anybody in my life that believed in me the way Artem believes in Conor McGregor. My parents don't believe in me. They know better.
If he doesn't believe in Conor and Conor doesn't get paid, Artem doesn't eat.
I'm telling you, that's really what it is. It's almost like the way, like, your dog believes.
He's probably on the payroll for, like, Conor's babysitter. You know, he's like the nanny at the house.
I hope that Conor's 1099ing him, because you don't want all of that going without the write-off, dude. You definitely want to be able to claim some expenses and some employee wages, you know, counter to all the wild winnings that he's been doing. So, yes, I hope he's on the payroll as, like, you know, Mr. Nanny or, like, you know, Vin Diesel's kind of replacement, whatever it is. But, dude, we've seen this movie before. All right? It's a wild, really, really good striker. Not a wild one, a very, very good striker at the basics. And he's got to hit that home run. And the fact of the matter is, Khabib can hit singles. Maybe it's not pretty, but he can hit singles for 20 minutes. And then the other 5 minutes can be interspersed amongst the 5 rounds where he gets dominant position and he just rides Conor. Takes that leg springiness away. Takes that explosiveness away. And we've seen it. We've seen it happen against a much lesser grappler in the form of Nate Diaz. And like lesser like takedown artists, not grapplers. Is finishing jiu-jitsu is pretty awesome. But if you are able to put the fight where Conor doesn't want it for long enough, Conor's going to start looking more and more pedestrian as the 5 rounds go on. It's just a fact, dude. So,
yeah, that top pressure that Khabib has is there's not too many
outrageous.
guys who can sit there and take it.
No, it's like an extra like offensive weapon. Like there's some top pressure that's just to maintain position. There's some where it's like, you know, I'm almost accidentally in a dominant position and I'm happy to be here. Thank you. I love you. But then there's some that's so hard to deal with and it's so stifling. Like I've had that different type of top pressure on me where it's like, okay, you know, this guy knows jiu-jitsu, we're rolling, blah, blah, blah. Then, you know, there's been people that have come in and it's like, oh, there's this guy, he's just, you know, he's a great Greco guy, you know, or he's a great, you know, he's a D1 wrestler. And, you know, we want to keep him warm. No problem, right? You don't turn down a roll at jiu-jitsu, it's just not done. But then he gets into some weird positions and it's just like my diaphragm is fucking, it's coming out my spine. I can't draw breath. He's not submitting me right now. He's not actively trying to submit me. He's just putting the weight of Jesus on my chest, right? Doing that for 25 minutes, it's just, you know, and it's one of those types of top pressures that like it makes your eyes go big and you're like, oh shit, this is obscene. All right, I feel like there's a mausoleum stone on top of my chest right now. This is upsetting, right? It gives you the same claustrophobia that you had when you first did jiu-jitsu. Remember that? Where you were like, oh, fuck. You eventually get over that. Some guys got the type of top pressure that make you feel like a fucking kid again. I think Khabib's got that. I really do. And I think that's one of the things where we talk about it breaks people. That can break a person. I don't care what type of Mystic McGregor bullshit he's got going on. That type of top pressure grinds people to dust. It just does. And there's a higher percentage of likelihood, there's more reward, and it's a less risky path to victory. That I'm coming at it from that angle. Conor can win for sure, but it's got to be such a high risk, high reward maneuver where, you know, the safe money, and I believe the smart money is definitely on Khabib, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, and like everybody says, you can't just completely write him off. And you know, again, nobody's writing Conor off.
No.
He does have that. You know, he does have.
He has uncanny accuracy. Like he does the basics well, but his accuracy is outrageous.
Thank you. Outrageous. You know, that's what it is. That accuracy is outrageous. It's right there. It's in your face. But you know, it's still that issue of Khabib finding a way to get through that. And if everybody thinks that Khabib is not working on a way to not get caught, you know what I mean? Everybody thinks, oh, well, yes, his stand-up is atrocious. It's 100% atrocious. But the Al Iaquinta fight that we saw, Khabib wanted to win, but I don't think he wanted to just completely do to Iaquinta that he does to everybody else. He wanted to go those 5 rounds, I think, to prove to people that he has the gas tank to go the 5 rounds. Because you noticed he didn't really take that many shots after the second round, if you remember. Like he would go for, I'm not going to say a half-ass shot, but it wasn't that full shot that he was going for, like when he was fighting Edson Barbosa. He wasn't putting his all into it like he was doing with Edson. He just wanted to take it to 5 rounds. You know, if he was able to get Iaquinta out on his feet, he would have. Khabib knew he wasn't in any danger with all those shots that Iaquinta was throwing at him at the end where they were just both standing up. He knew he was going to be fine. That fight with Michael Johnson, he got caught. That's it. He didn't lose the round. We all know he won the fight. So realistically, these are people just grasping at straws, trying to find some sort of mortality with Khabib. And in 26, 27 fights, we haven't seen it.
Yeah, 26 fights. Yeah, we're going to see number 27 coming up next week, and I don't think it's there. I don't think that McGregor cracks the Da Vinci Code here. I don't. If anybody could, he can. You know, and a lot of people come to me and say, "Hey, whoa, okay, you know, what if it had been McGregor putting that pull on Khabib during that fight, right?" I get that.
Yeah.
And had that whole situation, we, you know, magically able to put McGregor in that situation, and he gets that sort of a clean shot at Khabib, yeah, I think he does a lot more damage because, again, it's the accuracy. He puts those two knuckles through that MMA glove. He finds those two, he puts them on, little buttons that all humans have that send you to bed. Get that. I appreciate that. It's what makes him such an exciting draw. That and, you know, him talking up a good game and then backing it up most of the time. That's what's really his secret formula. But that being said, it's still, I gotta throw a 90-yard touchdown pass to win a game, right? Into triple coverage. Or I can run the ball for the entire game and win. If you had one chance of approach, which way would you go about winning that football game? I know I'd go for the conservative, hey, we're going to run it up the gut. We're going to grind it out.
Kill the clock.
We're going to get a couple scores. Yeah, kill the clock. We're going to get some scores. We're going to wear people out. So, you know, and then my defense is going to be just a fucking scary as shit and slap around that QB so that the Hail Mary is less and less and less of a possibility. We're going to bang his ass up for 3 quarters out of the 4 quarters or 4 rounds out of the 5 rounds. And then right towards the end, we're going to see if we can knock him out of the game. And by knock him out, I obviously in Khabib's case, I mean put him on his ass and just make him either tap the strikes or submit him somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather, if my life was depending on it, I'd rather be in Khabib's shoes. If I had to win this fight or fucking Satan takes my immortal soul, which one am I going to go with? I'm going to go with the grappler versus striker odds, where the grappler makes it a hell of a lot more often than the striker does. Would it blow my mind? Would I go, holy shit, would I think that the sport could go into 17 different directions after a Conor win? Of course. The fanboy in me, really, I got to be honest with everybody, I'd love nothing more than Conor to win. Because it'd be exciting as shit to see where the hell he goes after all this. But do I think he's going to? Absolutely not. I do not. Without a shadow. No. I don't.
Yeah, it's a funny fight. It's a funny fight because we make it sound like it's cut and dry, right? We really do. We make it sound like it's cut and dry. Like Khabib has that grappling. Nobody could touch him on the grappling. But just imagine if that left hand connects in the first 2 minutes of the fight, and then it's over.
I'll lose my mind. Like, it'll be one of the biggest moments. It was the same when he did it to Aldo. I hate to bring it up again, but it was the same when it happened with Eddie. Dude, it's crazy.
It is.
I had Eddie winning that fight. I'm not going to lie to you. I really did. In terms of, like, before
Aldo,
the fight happened.
You just said Eddie. I thought you were just
No,
talking about
Eddie for sure. Aldo was more of a pick'em in my mind because I do feel he was susceptible to the type of mindfuckery that Khabib is not. But Eddie, before the fight happened, I had Eddie win because I was like, okay, yeah, the stand-up's there, but I think the grappling and the dog fighting in him, it's hard to pick against Eddie Alvarez. He's a fucking animal. He still is. But I was shocked. Even with Poirier,
yeah.
it's like, yo, he just glanced off of him, dude. This is nuts. So it's there. It's not cut and dry, and it would be if he connects within the first 2 minutes, man. I'm telling you, like, fight history forevermore will be rewritten, because while I don't think he's going to fight the 8 fights, I do think that he's going to give a couple more exciting ones in the tank. You mentioned Woodley. You know, Nate's out there eating that kangaroo meat with Frank Mir. He's having a grand old time. Him and Canelo are sharing Mexican hamburger recipes, or as they say, those hamburguesa recipes. So there's fights there. If Ferguson wins, you know that's a sweet setup. They're doing that on purpose. If everything goes well, right? The main and the co-main are definitely like a little bit of a tournament there. So there's a lot for Conor to do. Is there many exciting matchups that everybody's salivating to see with Khabib if he wins, if he goes 27-0? I don't know. I don't know if they're there. Hardcore fan, yes, but you know, who would you want to see him fight after that?
I think at that point, people would want to see him go up.
For sure. Or fight Ferguson at 165, like on the way, and then just reside at 170 and see if he can do the same sort of.
Can you imagine if Ferguson loses that fight that night?
What, to Pettis?
That luster's gone. Yeah, that luster's gone.
Oh my God! I'm trying not to make light of this. I'm really not. If Ferguson loses, you got to watch out for like self-harm, because that will be devastating to Tony Ferguson. He's bounced back from an injury that looks like he got attacked by a fucking pterodactyl. All right, that scar looks like somebody installed a zipper on him, you know, and or he had a little toy clown say, "Do you want to play a game?" and it turned out wrong for El Cucuy. He's coming back. You and I were both watching the training videos and montages, right? And we were both like, oh, every time he, you know, would jump up and do some wild shit with his knee, because it's just, we both had leg issues. Like, oh God, how are you coming back? Oh, and he's right back out there. He climbs back from being less than 24 hours away from fighting for the title that's now at the top of this card, and to come back and lose to Anthony Pettis, who's hot and cold on a good day, like, yeesh. I'm telling you, that would be. I'd feel bad for Ferguson, and that's hard to get me to do because Ferguson's a weirdo. So he's just an odd character. But I'd feel something for Tony. I would.
Yeah, I mean, I would too, because honestly, Anthony Pettis versus Khabib, that's not really something you're going to get people hyped for. It was going to be cool if it was the short notice fight.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, okay, well,
that's
anything here can happen.
Well, yeah, and that's the best of a bad situation. Let's make the best of a worst evening here, all right? So, yeah, you get anybody out there. Fucking Paul Felder would have been interesting. You know what I'm saying? Against Khabib that evening. I'm glad it was Al, because Al got to show heart and become a fucking legend in the process. But, yeah, anybody at that point would have been, okay, you know, let's see what happens. Let's roll the dice. It is a fight. Anything can occur. Pettis could, I don't know, do a fucking Hurricane Rana and connect it. I don't know, dude. But that's going to be just put it in these terms. McGregor fighting anybody else from here on forward, if he wins, will be an anchor to a marquee pay-per-view or part of some marketing push to get ESPN Plus on the map, right? Anything that Khabib wants to do after this fight, if he wins, or if, you know, Khabib Pettis, like, it would be a co-main at best. All right? Or anchoring some sort of free television that, you know, you want to give some pizzazz to. Do you see where I'm going with that? Like, it's not, the needle's not there for, I mean, I'm glad. I hope Khabib gets his money. And it looks like the stars are aligning for that to happen, because he's got to have pay-per-view points because he's the champion now. That's how the contracts work, right? He's the champion. He's going to get pay-per-view points, and he's he's married for this card to the greatest pay-per-view draw of all time in the UFC. So I'm glad that he's doing that. But dude, like, if he beats Conor, it'd be crazy. But I don't think a lot of people are gonna care in a year. I think people are gonna give a shit what Conor McGregor has to do in the next 365 for sure.
Now, do you ever see Conor fighting on that ESPN app?
I think so. I absolutely think so.
Really?
Absolutely think so. Yeah, for sure, dude, for sure. I'm not, we can both remember when we saw Cain Velasquez get knocked the fuck out on Fox, right? For the first UFC on Fox.
Here's the thing with that. The rest of the card was on pay-per-view. So people technically still had to buy it to see that fight. But the rest of the card was on pay-per-view. You know what I mean?
I get that. But I just think that this deal is so important that you're going to have a situation where they might, depending on if he wins or loses and how much money they want to throw at him, I think you could really have Conor get out there at least once to bring some eyes to the situation, dude. I don't think it's too out of the question.
Do you think Conor's got a piece of this deal?
If he doesn't, then he's getting paid enough where it's just as well that he does. That's a non-answer, but yeah. I don't think they wrote him in. You know who I think would have written him in? The Fertittas.
I don't know, man. They were willing to let him walk, dude.
Nah.
They were willing to let him walk for UFC 200. You remember that? I do,
but if the Fertittas were facing the note payments that WME is, or whatever the hell they call themselves now, right? They rebranded because I think they had enough bad press on some other shit. So whatever they're called now. If they're facing those banknotes, man, they're gonna come repo the car, bro. if you don't get that debt service. So I think that he might have been in a better situation with the Fertittas, at least. Like if everything else is the same. Yeah, they let homeboy walk because but I don't think it was the surrounding situation wasn't similar. But I don't think WME or whoever is gonna write him into that. I just don't. You know what I could see? What's more feasible to me in the permutations of this 8-fight contract, and this is all hinges really on if he wins more than he loses, of course. The more he loses, the less leverage he has. I think we both agree with that. Is I could see co-promotion down the road. Or further co-promotion, because I think technically speaking, wasn't the boxing match kind of like a co-promoting type? I don't know. But I could see like some sort of co-promotion go on down the road instead of like, here, you're getting a piece of this entire ESPN deal. It would be a bad business move, dude. That's why I'm saying I don't think that they did it. There's no way. Unless they're doing a really good job about keeping it under wraps. But dude, it's a lot of cash.
Or they're going to give him a piece of it, and he has to fight on the very first presentation on that app.
Oh, then yeah. Then if I could see something like that. I mean, if he ever does fight on that app, then they're going to be for sure rolling up the Brinks truck to help him out. That's absolutely because it's going to have to be something above and beyond what he would be able to get in a pay-per-view situation. Right? The points in the pay-per-view package are very, very lucrative. Of course, they have to be lucrative. If not, the UFC would have given up on that model by now. So the points are the holy grail. Everybody wants to be the champion. People will say, because I want to be the best. No, it's because you want a fucking profit sharing at that point. You're finally, at the top tier of your company and you're getting profit sharing, which is hugely lucrative. So if they get him to fight on that thing, I mean, you legit are looking at what? Paying him like $40 million? Or something in the realm of 30 to 40 mil for that one appearance?
Something big. Yeah,
something
big.
Radically out of proportion to what everybody else gets paid, I'll tell you that much. But, I mean, then do you want to tie that into you're going to have to pay him 30 to 40, the residual income, you know what? Let me stop hedging. I hope and I pray and I wish that is the deal that he has. Because at the end of the day, love him or hate him, he's still labor in this labor management kind of dichotomy. So I'd love nothing more than to see Conor McGregor get a piece of that wild pie and have that residual stuff. But there's so much potential cash that we're talking about in terms of like a long-term 1 or 2 percentage points off of that ESPN deal that I just do not see anybody at the top in the UFC even contemplating that, dude. I'm sorry. It's too.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like we were saying before, it's interesting with this 8-fight contract. Now, everybody said, yeah, but you just said that they're probably not going to do. He's probably not going to do 8 fights. He might not, but there's a lot of things that could happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean with this 8-fight deal. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that can happen.
Potentially.
It's one of those weird things. It's like, well, maybe they will do that. All right, Conor, we're gonna give you a piece of the company, or a piece of this deal. We're gonna give you a piece of this deal, but for the first fight, you have to fight on it, and then they make it a huge deal. A big, huge fight, Conor against, maybe that's the one that they do with Woodley. Because this whatchamacallit, this deal with ESPN goes through in 2019, doesn't it? Or it was a 2020.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
It starts in 2019.
Okay, so it starts in 2019. It's not out of the realm of possibility to think that they would do that with Conor McGregor. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
No, not at all. I think with Conor, all bets would be off. I'd be pleased, but holy crap, it'd be a lot. It'd be a lot of money.
It would be.
Yeah.
It would be, but they want to keep, the golden goose happy, don't they?
For sure. And it's not like they wouldn't have it to spare. It's not like they wouldn't get a return on investment, but, UFC's a bunch of greedy sons of bitches. I think it's been all proven time and again.
I think the one thing is that, well, maybe not. You see, here's the weird thing. You know how they always do, hey, your first month free. That might turn around and bite them in the ass because, as soon as that fight's over, everybody's just going to, get rid of the app like everybody did with the YouTube when the Karate Kid came out.
Oh, yeah, or YouTube Red, period. I had YouTube Red when they gave it to me for like 3 months or something, right, for like reduced price. I have Audible right now because they're letting me do it for $5 instead of the 15. And I love ebooks and I love reading, but when that shit jumps up to 15, guess who's getting the fuck off Audible? I'm waiting till December when they give another round of deals, and I'll get it for cheaper then. But that's it, my man.
As soon as I got done binge watching Cobra Kai, I got rid of YouTube Red.
Dude, of course. And I think, they're not going to give up their analytics, but everybody, that's what everybody did, man. Dude.
So I don't think it would be good to do, to offer that free, the
free intro month.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it would be. I don't think it would be good for that, just because then they wouldn't make anything on it. Everybody would just get the app for just that one fight and then get rid of it. You know what I mean? And like Roberto said, that's why I live stream all the events, and it's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
unless they're going to just take away the pay-per-view and have all these fights on the app, which I think that's what they should do, considering you're making people pay $5 a month for this thing. You know, you're still going to have your other fights, you know, on Fight Pass, which who knows how good those fights actually do. Like, how many people actually watch those fights on Fight Pass? They don't disclose that, do they, Omar?
There's 5 people that watch those fights on Fight Pass. Legitimately. 5 people. Right? The people that watch those fights on Fight Pass with other means are undisclosed. But I think it's like the families of the fighters. You're just not doing anything to bring value. I love how so many different things are included now. And if they keep doing that, that's the way to go. But they got to combine some sort of situation, like you're saying, Tommy, where, you know, I'll even pay 10 or 15 a month if then I get pay-per-views. Do me that solid then.
Yeah, that's where, you know, we've talked about this before. That's where I think the UFC really faltered with not having their pay-per-views on the Fight Pass app. You're paying
isn't that what the
$10 a month.
WWE does?
They sure do.
Like,
it was a little rough in the beginning. It was a little rough in the beginning, you know, money-wise for these guys because, you know, yes, they're losing the pay-per-view points that they used to have, but everybody's streaming and pretty much getting it for free.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're making somebody pay $10 a month for the app. You've got all this content, like you know, UFC has. They have all this content, and if you have the pay-per-views on there, those numbers are going to jump.
I would actually buy that if that were the case, bro. 100%. Even if it was, I'm going to go crazy and say it was $19.99 a month. Just because, like, the prospect of legit shelling out $65-$70 for a fight that I want to watch, like, it hurts, man. It's a lot.
Yeah,
and sometimes you have
make
2 a month.
to me.
No,
really
especially because, like,
sense.
I'm not saying I do it. I'm not saying you do it, but, like, you can stream this shit. It's available for free. Like, you're not. Come on, you can't be blind to that fact, and you're not going to prosecute everybody. And, you know, shut your mouth, blah blah blah. I get it.
The
but, like,
highlights are on social media right after the match happens anyway. The fight happens anyway.
Exactly. Like, you could easily, if we were so inclined, we could watch the highlights and then talk about the fights. Not that we do it. We love what we do, but, like, you're not missing out on craziness. And sometimes they're dodging bullets because there's some stinkers of fights that where you're like, man, I wish I had just seen the 5-second synopsis of this because this was a dog shit fight. But no, I gave these motherfuckers my $80 and I gave them my 15 minutes for this particular fight. I hate you all, but I love the fight game. But, dude, it's just, I don't know. Who knows, man? You offer some sort of expanded, like, Fight Pass Plus, ESPN Plus, and lump it all in. It would make sense, but then again, they haven't been in the business of making sense lately, so I don't know.
If you're not going to do it on, you know, the Fight Pass app because they have this big, huge deal, fine. Then do it on the ESPN app.
Yeah.
Keep Fight Pass price on it. You know, put the Ultimate Fighter on there. You know, the Contender Series on there. You still have all these other organizations on there that you have, like the jiu-jitsu stuff. Like, that's all great. I think you're going to find more people willing to shell out $5 a month for the Fight Pass app with the content that they have on it, and $10 a month for the ESPN app with the pay-per-views on it. Then you're going to, you know, have. Because the pay-per-view prices are only going to go up. They're only going to go up.
Without a doubt, there's gonna be someday in the next 5 years where we're gonna pay $100 for a pay-per-view.
And I would never do it. I would never do it.
It's tough. It's really tough.
You know,
I didn't pay $100 to watch Mayweather fucking McGregor. I didn't pay $100 to watch Mayweather Pacquiao. Like, and name whatever's been like the top priced ones. I haven't. I either went to go watch them somewhere, or I watched them after the fact. You know, like I went to a buddy's house to watch Pacquiao Mayweather. Like, I'm not gonna drop a fucking C-note on a pay-per-view. It just no. That's where I draw the line. That's just nuts.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
No.
You're paying $100 to watch it at home.
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
You know, and in the age of the
sense?
internet, dude, it's over. Like, it's just not. It's nothing. There's no way. Information should be free, but that's a conversation for another day. You know?
It's weird. But, you know, it's good that we can have these conversations now because, you know, the person that we said that is driving the UFC money train is coming back in. And am I saying that I like Conor McGregor? Absolutely not. I can't stand the guy. I cannot stand him. I want to see him lose. I want to see him get embarrassed. But I want to see him come back because I want to see it happen to him again.
Yeah, and just get shellacked and put on his back and have him be broken. That would be a wild.
No matter what, he's still going to be a draw. No matter what, still going to be a draw. That luster and that shine, I don't think will ever come off because he's got so many fans, not here just in the States, but in Ireland and England, all over the place. He's got fans everywhere.
He's also got hoes in different area codes. He does.
Allegedly.
That we can say. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I got you.
Allegedly. We can't. We here at the Pride Rules podcast do not know what Conor McGregor does in his life outside of his marriage with Dee. I don't want to know. Artem.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Artem would let him mess up like that because you know those would be some hefty child support payments that you know that he'd have to make
Artem
and
now.
Just you know.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't. Like Artem would lose that monthly money coming from Conor.
That stipend would be tough to lose.
Oh, I could see Artem being a scumbag enough trying to like date D, so that way he still gets that monthly money.
Yikes! That's this just got messy in a super hurry. I'm checking out on that note. I'm checking out. I'm done. So thank you, bro.
Hey, it is 2-minute warning after dark.
Oh Jesus!
You know, we've hit that point.
2-minute Maury after dark, bro. Thank you. Oh, God. This is days of our lives.
In the case of Artem Lobov, Conor McGregor, you are the father.
He is. I'm telling you, very few people I've ever had in my life be that loyal. Shit.
Right?
You know, come on, man. I can't even hate on it, really. So.
I mean, he is totally JD, and Conor is Dr. Cox.
100%. I thought, well done. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it, sir. A tip of the cap to you, sir. Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. I'm telling you, dude. It's getting sunned out left and right.
Artem sings the waffle song when Conor comes in. Comes in the morning for breakfast.
No, dude. We've gone off the rails, bro. I think we gotta close this.
Hey, man. I think. Yeah. As we're getting ready to close, guys, you know, honestly, you know, all seriousness, this is a very exciting fight. We've been waiting for this for long enough now. You know, first it was going to happen in Russia, which I think would have been absolute bonkers, but I think would have kind of been screwy for the UFC. You know what I mean? Yeah. Money-wise. You know, could you imagine that fight in Russia? Conor and Khabib on at 3:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday.
I would have been there for it.
What?
I would have definitely watched it for sure, but.
Oh, watch it! You meant flown to Russia?
No way! Stop it! Yeah, I don't want any suspicious bullshit on my passport right now, bro. Thanks. I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so we are 1 week away. We are 1 week away from the most anticipated fight in history. Let's just hope it actually does happen. We hope that nobody falls down doing press. We hope that nobody has any kidney issues.
Oh my God!
You know, we just gotta hope that Conor doesn't get too deep into his proper 12 that he gets alcohol poisoning the night before the fight. Like,
I hope not.
We laugh,
Scary
but
business.
these are the things that can happen because the universe, for some odd reason, hates MMA.
It does, man. I'm telling you, it's like an aberration before God. It really seems like it. It's bad.
It hates MMA. But,
it does.
So next week we are going to discuss at full length the card. We are definitely going to break down all the fights, including Khabib versus Conor. Tonight we wanted to talk about everything involving this fight so we could get it all in and we're not rushed. So next week, guys, we will have that show for you. Shout out to our sponsors, ADK Fightwear, Black Hole Jiu-Jitsu, Madama Jiu-Jitsu, 2 Minute Warning Sports 360, and our family over there at Fightbook MMA. I am your host, the Reverend Tommy D, joined with me by El Professor, Omar Sangarima. Buddy, I can't wait to talk to you next week. We are Pride Rules Podcast. Good night.